Hi homeschoolers, it's me Jazz again from Hidden Library Homeschool, and I'm back with another homeschool video. I have spent the last couple of months just collecting books, and especially my books for next year for 3rd grade, and also just books for this year that we're going to round out our school year with, and also for the summer. So I have books all around my homeschool room. It is completely disorganized with just like piles, well, organized somewhat. I have piles everywhere of different books, so I figured I would get on here and make a video giving a little bit of a taste of some of the things we're going to be doing next year in 3rd grade, especially since my big giant box for 3rd grade, my bucket that I have is overflowing to the point that I can't even fit some of the things in there right now. So I figured I would take some of the stuff out and show them to you. So we already have a couple of these books, the big fat notebooks. We are using the world history this year and also the science. Just as a reference, we're not using them, you know, in depth since it is for middle school. But next year we'll be starting out with American history, so I bought the American history one. I also have the English language arts one and the math one, and I don't see us using these two as much because they are for middle school like it says, but they will be nice to have as a reference. I also have Chronicles of Narnia, and this is every single book in the series, and as you can see it's pretty small writing, but I did want to have all of them. But I do know that when we're probably only going to do 1, maybe 2 of these books next year, like The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and maybe one other one. But when we do it, it will be as an audiobook, but I did want to have a paper copy on hand. I also have the Reading Literature 3rd Reader from yesterday's classics, and I like to have this on hand when we run out of things to read, which barely ever happens. I mean, we always have books on hand, but sometimes when, if we have a day where it's not going as smoothly as we want it to, and a full lesson might be like pulling teeth for maybe our reading lesson, but we still want to get in reading, I will have him read a short passage out of here. And of course, I have the What Your 3rd Grader Needs to Know. I get this every year. I don't always use this from, well, I never use it from cover to cover. I do flip through it and kind of make sure we're hitting most of the points. I don't follow it religiously or anything like that, but I do like to have it on hand just to see what other 3rd graders are learning. And I am using, once again, since it's been working, we used it 1st grade, 2nd grade, and now for 3rd grade we're using the Harcourt Health and Fitness. And this is just the 3rd grade version, and the words are a little bit smaller, not too much, at a 3rd grade level that he'll be able to read it. We just pair this with Brain Pop videos. We extend our discussions from whatever questions he has, but it usually only takes us 10-15 minutes if he's, you know, really interested in the topic. And for art, once again, we are using the Harcourt Art. I'm probably gonna once again try to have him in some sort of art class or some sort of homeschool thing where they do projects and things, but just to make sure that we are covering a lot of the art topics, we use the Harcourt Art book. With art, I found these books right here, fantastic frame, and I was going to give this to him as just something to read, but when I only read the first of this series, and there's 1, 2, and 3, and I think 4 comes out in a month or 2. But when I was reading this, I thought, you know, if somebody was really skilled, they could probably, you know, drag out the story and make that as an art history lesson. So I'm gonna attempt that. If not, we'll just read it and kind of just tie it in a bit. But these do look fun for him to start reading. Basically, this little boy and this girl, they jump into different art, into different paintings, and they're going from different painting to different painting and also learning about that. And at the end of the book, if I remember correctly, okay, so it'll tell you about the painting. Because right here you can see on the cover, it's kind of a little bit silly. They're jumping into the painting, but then it's going to tell you at the end the real story about the painting, who wrote it, who painted it, and where, and just a little bit about that. So And since we are loving the who was, who is, what are, yeah, who was series, I guess you could just call it, I figured I would get him his own book, and this is Who is the Story of My Life, and this is a journal. And I have tried to have him do a little bit of kind of like a summary of himself every year, and I figured this year was the year that we could really expand on it a bit. And I like that on this one they have the family tree, so we're gonna try to complete that as far back. I know on my side we'll be able to get to to great grandmother. I'm not sure about my husband's side, so I'll have to have homework for my husband to get that information for when Tony asks him about that. And since we love Horrible Harry, we have Horrible Harry moves up to 3rd grade. I love these books. I think I like these books more than my son does. I mean, he likes them, but I will read this. Like, last week I was just in a bad mood for some reason, and I read one of these books and I'm like cracking up. This book is for 7 to 10-year-olds, but it puts me in a good mood, so you can't go wrong. Yeah, we have a couple more from that series, especially some that we'll be using over the summer. And the last book I have for next year that we're going to be using, well, just for my taste of what we're going to be using next year, is Bluebirds. Since we will be doing Renaissance, colonial America, and Revolution, this talks about the Pilgrims coming to America and the girl from England when she's in America and talking, kind of making a friend with one of the Native Americans, and just their different perspectives. And it definitely goes with our with my theme for one of my themes for next year for perspective, and just telling how the Native American girl views the newcomers and how the newcomers view the Native Americans, and how they kind of misunderstand each other. They see their own point of view, and these two girls end up becoming friends anyway. So I did enjoy this book. It looks a lot thicker than it actually is, because some of it's not written in paragraph form, and some of them, if I can find one, are pretty small. It goes back and forth between the two. If I can find one with both of the girls. Okay, so here's one. It goes with the Native American girl and the Pilgrim, going back and forth on how they're viewing the situation and what's going on at that time. So I will have more videos of what we're doing for next year, but that was just a little bit of a taste, just so I can close my box because it is definitely overflowing. Lots of reference books, switching over to, well, not switching over to, moving into American history, so that'll be a lot of fun because Tony is all excited about learning about George Washington and oh, and that whole time period. So we should be having a lot of fun next year. Thanks for checking this video out from Hidden Library Homeschool. Please like, comment, and subscribe below. Bye.